The rain came down in sheets, hammering the cracked asphalt like an angry drum. Thunder rolled overhead, shaking the ground beneath Noah Carter's boots as he slammed his old truck door shut. His shirt was already soaked through, his jeans heavy with water, but he couldn't ignore the sight in the distance. A black luxury sedan, half buried in mud, at the edge of the flooded road. The driver's door swung open, and a woman in a tailored gray coat stumbled out, her heels sinking into the muck. She looked furious and helpless. His phone buzzed with a reminder, job interview in 10 minutes. But Noah didn't move toward the highway. He moved toward her. Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more videos like this. Let's begin. No, this is not happening, the woman muttered, yanking at her stuck heel. Her coat was spotless despite the storm, but the water pooling around her ankles was anything but clean. Her dark hair clung to her cheeks, mascara smudged at the corners of her eyes. She was breathing fast, like the cold was trying to steal the air from her lungs. Noah splashed through the ankle-deep water toward her. "You're gonna twist your ankle like that," he said, his voice cutting through the storm. She whipped around, startled. Her eyes flicked over him, a tall man in a faded flannel shirt, jeans caked in mud, a baseball cap shielding his face from the worst of the rain. "I'm fine," she snapped, trying to free her shoe. "No, you're not," he replied flatly, crouching to grip the heel and pull it free with one sharp tug. He handed it to her without meeting her gaze. "Get in the car. I'll handle it." "You don't even know me," she said, holding the shoe like it was evidence in a trial. "Lady, I don't need to know you to help you. You're stuck. I've got a truck." She hesitated, watching as he trudged back to his vehicle. His pickup looked older than she was, rust eating at the wheel wells. But the chains in the back told her this wasn't his first time pulling someone out of the mud. When he reversed toward her sedan, she noticed his hands. Calloused, strong, veins standing out against the pale skin. He hooked the chain to her bumper like he'd done it 100 times, then climbed into his cab. A roar from the engine, a slow pull, and the sedan groaned free from the mud with a wet slurp. By the time she climbed into her car, drenched and shivering, he was walking back through the rain without waiting for thanks. Something in her chest tightened. "Wait," she called, rolling down the window. He stopped but didn't turn. "You're soaked. Take this," she said, holding out a folded bill. He finally looked at her, his jaw tightening. "Keep it. I'm already late." "For what?" He paused. "A job interview." And then he walked away, boots sloshing through the water, vanishing into the downpour. Noah's heart pounded as he climbed back into his truck, rainwater dripping from the brim of his cap onto the worn steering wheel. The clock on the dash glared at him. 9:12 a.m. His interview had started at 9 sharp. He twisted the key, and the truck groaned to life, the wipers squealing across the cracked windshield. "Perfect," he muttered, punching the gas. The old pickup rattled over every pothole as he sped toward downtown, his mind running through the questions he'd been preparing for weeks. But deep down, he knew it didn't matter. No one waits for a guy like him. 3 blocks from the office building, traffic ground to a halt. A wreck up ahead. The rain had turned every street into a river, and even if he parked and ran, he'd still be late. His chest tightened, not just from frustration, but from the weight pressing down on him for months. Rent overdue, his son's shoes falling apart, bills stacked so high on the kitchen table that they looked like a second job. By the time he reached the high-rise, it was nearly 10. The receptionist barely glanced at him before saying, "They've moved on to the next candidate." Her voice was flat, efficient, like she'd already written him off. Noah's throat went dry. "Can I at least—" "I'm sorry, sir," she cut in. "The hiring manager's schedule is full. You can reapply in 6 months." 6 months. He couldn't survive 6 weeks without steady work. He forced a nod, swallowing the sharp lump in his throat. "Thank you for your time." Outside, the rain had softened to a drizzle, but it didn't matter. He felt colder now than he had standing in that flooded road. He shoved his hands in his pockets and started the long walk back to his truck. Halfway there, a sleek black SUV rolled up beside him, tinted windows gleaming despite the gray sky. The passenger window slid down, and he froze. It was her, the woman from the mud. She wasn't shivering anymore. Now she looked composed, her hair smoothed back, her coat immaculate again. "You missed it, didn't you?" she asked, her voice softer this time. "Yeah," he said, shifting uncomfortably on the wet sidewalk. "But you're on your way, so worth it." She studied him for a moment, her gaze steady. Then, "Get in." Noah frowned. "What?" "Get in the car," she repeated. "I owe you more than dry shoes." Something about the way she said it, calm, decisive, like she was used to giving orders and being obeyed, made him open the door and climb in without another word. The driver pulled away from the curb, and for the first time, Noah noticed the subtle details inside the SUV. The stitched leather seats, the faint scent of expensive perfume, and a folder on her lap stamped with a silver company logo he'd seen somewhere before. She glanced at him, a hint of a smile tugging at her lips. "I'm Claire Dalton," she said, "CEO of Dalton Tech." Noah blinked, the name hitting him like a thunderclap. Dalton Tech, the very company he'd just been turned away from. Noah stared at her, the hum of the SUV filling the silence. "You're the CEO?" he asked, disbelief heavy in his voice. Claire tilted her head, studying him like she was reading lines only she could see. "Last I checked, yes." Her tone was light, but her eyes were sharp. "And unless I'm mistaken, you were heading to an interview at my company this morning." Noah's jaw tightened. "Yeah, I was. And you missed it, because you stopped to help me." He gave a small shrug. "You were stuck in the rain. Didn't seem like a choice." Her lips quirked. "Most people would have driven right past, or taken my money and left. But you didn't." The driver took a turn, and the SUV began climbing the winding road toward a cluster of glass towers perched above the city. Noah had only ever seen this district from a distance, usually while delivering packages or picking up scrap metal for extra cash. Now, he was in it, so close he could see his reflection in the mirrored windows. "I read your file," Claire said suddenly. "My file?" His brows furrowed. "Yes," she said, tapping the folder in her lap. "I keep an eye on all candidates for certain positions. You were on my list for a logistics coordinator role. Do you know why?" Noah shook his head slowly. "Your resume is unconventional," she continued. "Marine Corps veteran, 2 commendations for bravery, small business owner for 3 years, volunteer at a community shelter. You're not just qualified, you're resourceful. But HR said you'd never make it past the formal process. Too rough around the edges." His stomach nodded. And they were right. I didn't even get in the room. She leaned back, crossing her legs. "That's the flaw in the system. The wrong people decide who gets a shot. I prefer to see for myself." Her gaze softened. "And this morning, I did." Noah looked away, staring at the rain streaking the tinted glass. "I wasn't trying to impress you. I know," she said, cutting him off. That's the point. The SUV slowed, turning into a private garage beneath one of the tallest towers. As the doors closed behind them, Claire set the folder aside. You've got one chance to prove yourself, Mr. Carter. Not in 6 months, not next week, right now. He raised an eyebrow. What's the catch? No catch, she replied smoothly. Just a problem no one else has been able to solve. The elevator doors opened, and she stepped out without looking back. You helped me out of the mud, Noah. Let's see if you can do the same for my company. The elevator ride to the top floor was silent, except for the faint hum of the motor. Noah stood beside Claire, still dripping rainwater onto the spotless marble floor. His boots squeaked with every slight movement, sounding painfully out of place in the gleaming, high-tech world around him. When the doors slid open, the atmosphere changed instantly. Chaos. Phones rang non-stop, voices overlapped, and the large digital screen on the wall flashed "System Failure" in bold red letters. Several employees rushed past, carrying stacks of papers, their faces pale and tense. Claire didn't break stride. "Conference room, now," she called out, and 3 senior-looking staff members scrambled to follow. She gestured for Noah to come with her. Inside, the room was all glass walls and polished chrome, overlooking a skyline blurred by rain. A long table dominated the center, scattered with laptops, coffee cups, and documents. One man, gray-haired and sweating, blurted out, "Claire, the distribution tracking system crashed last night. We've got shipments in 6 states unaccounted for. If we don't restore it today, we're looking at millions in penalties." "Millions," another added grimly, "and lost clients. We've already had 3 calls to threaten termination." Claire dropped into her chair, calm but deadly focused. "So fix it." The gray-haired man's voice faltered. "Ma'am, our IT lead says it could take a week, maybe longer." Noah shifted, recognizing the layout of the diagrams on the table. His brows knit together. This is your logistics dashboard?" The room turned toward him, as if they'd forgotten he was even there. Claire's eyes narrowed. "You know it?" "I've seen systems like it," he said slowly, moving closer to the table. "Used one in the Marines for supply drops, and in my shop for parts distribution. Your servers aren't down, they're misaligned. It's like having the right puzzle pieces, but the wrong picture on the box." A younger employee snorted under his breath. "And you figured this out by just looking at it?" Noah's voice was steady. "I've spent most of my adult life figuring out how to keep things running with half the parts and no time. This isn't magic, it's pattern recognition." Claire leaned back, watching him with an expression that made his stomach flip. Part curiosity, part challenge. "Not. Show me." Noah rolled up his sleeves, stepping to one of the laptops. His fingers moved quickly over the keyboard, pulling up diagnostic logs, bypassing layers of flashy UI to get to the raw data. The room went silent, except for the clicking keys. He was in his element now, focused, methodical, almost forgetting where he was until the large screen's angry red warning blinked out. In its place, "System restored." The gray-haired man exhaled in disbelief. "How? That should have taken days." "It took 40 minutes, Noah said, closing the laptop. "You were looking for the problem in the wrong place." Claire's lips curved into a small, approving smile. "Mr. Carter, I think you just saved us a fortune." The tension in the room evaporated almost instantly, replaced by a hum of astonished murmurs. One executive shook Noah's hand like he'd just pulled them out of a burning building. Another muttered, "We need him on payroll." Yesterday. Claire didn't say anything at first. She simply stood, collected the folder from the table, and gestured for Noah to follow her out of the conference room. They stepped into her private office. Floor-to-ceiling glass, a polished oak desk, and a view of the city that made him feel like he was standing in another world entirely. She closed the door behind them. Noah broke the silence first. "Look, I didn't mean to step on your team's toes. I just hate seeing something broken when I know how to fix it." Claire set the folder down with deliberate care. "And that's exactly why I want you here." He frowned. "Here?" "As in full-time, head of logistics operations. The position pays 6 figures, includes full benefits, and has room to grow." She said it like she was reading an address, calm and certain, as though the decision had been made the moment she saw him in the rain. Noah stared at her. "You don't even know if I'm—" "I know enough," she interrupted. "You put a stranger ahead of yourself this morning. You walked into a problem everyone else said would take a week and solved it in less than an hour. And you didn't take my money when you could have." His throat tightened. 6 figures is more than I've ever made in my life. "Then start imagining it," she said, almost smiling. Noah's mind jumped to his son. New shoes, a real bed. No more counting pennies for groceries. The thought alone was enough to blur his vision for a moment. He blinked hard, forcing himself to keep his composure. Claire leaned forward, her voice lower now. "You missed your interview, Mr. Carter. But you made a bigger impression than you ever could have in that room. So the question is, do you want the job?" He let out a slow breath. Yeah, I do." "Good," she said, standing and extending her hand. "Then welcome to Dalton Tech." As he shook her hand, a strange warmth spread through him. Not just relief, but the quiet, unshakable feeling that life had just pivoted in a way he couldn't undo. When he left her office an hour later, contract in hand, the rain had stopped. The city streets shimmered under a weak, silver sun. And for the first time in years, Noah didn't feel like he was stuck in the mud.